Edo Governor Godwin Obaseki don tok say the domestication of the state housing policy wey dey modelled after the national housing policy wey go dey fully implemented go become reference point for construction of public buildings and enhance quality of life of citizens. Obaseki tok dis one wen e dey address participants wey be internal stakeholders for one engagement section on the draft Edo State housing policy wey shele for John Odige Oyegu Public Service Academy. Obaseki con tok say the most important function of government na thinking, set in place policy, direction and compass of where dem suppose dey go, and say na only after dem set up dis important and correct policies na im go make other actors begin to key in and play their own part. E con still tok say one of the most important policy dem need to leave behind as dem dey comot for office na the Edo State housing document wey get everything on how we take dey live for our physical space, and say housing policies not just mean to build house sake of say you no fit build house without road wey go connect to am, as you suppose dey able to secure your house and also get original document to show say na you get am.
The kind of actions, the contracts that are awarded, the things that are built, the things you see. If you are not building roads, you are not building schools, you are not taking some physical specific action, then you are not doing anything. They don't realize that the most important function of government is thinking, setting in place a policy, a direction, a compass where we should be going. That is more important than anything else. It's only when you have set out a correct policy that other actors now begin to play their own parts. And one of the challenges we faced in government in Nigeria, across the board, from federal down to local government, is because we have diminished this aspect of governance, which is policy making. We see it as theoretical. What then happens is that because there is no common ground, we're all not agreed on where we are going and what we should do, different parts of government begin to act in disparity. There's no cohesion. So if we don't leave anything behind, one of the things we want to be remembered for is that when we came into government, we got government back, we brought the brain of government back into government so that government can start to think again for us. It's that process of thinking that creates a plan and that creates actions that you can now execute on. Because one basic human need is housing. You know, you have to locate yourself and stay in a place, you know, within the physical space. It's either where you live and sleep at night, where you work, where you do your business, where you play. It's a house, it's a location. And what's the relationship between all of these? It's not just one aspect alone. It's a combination and a series of institutions, processes, procedures, and people, which must all act in unison. Because from the ecosystem that's been displayed, you cannot live in a house that has no road connecting it with other places. Can you? So housing policy cannot just mean building a house. Neither can it mean not being able to secure the house, not being able to have your titles to that property. It's not your own if you don't own it, right? And something has to document that you own it. So this housing, I mean, for me, I think one of the most important policies we must leave behind is this document, which summarizes or puts together how we live in our physical space. And I want to thank Professor Gidigbe and the team for the work you've done over the last 1 year. I recall about February 15th or so last year, I inaugurated your committee to produce this document. And I'm glad that you have diligently worked and tirelessly worked to produce a draft. It has to be a draft because after now, everybody who is part of this must take ownership. and contribute to it to have something final. And it must be your Bible by which everybody works. The Ministry of Roads and Bridges cannot and should not build any roads or design any roads without reference to this document. You cannot, and you should not. Neither should the Ministry of Health or Education, for instance, decide to build schools or hospitals without thinking through what the housing policy is, how whatever they're doing is going to be affected by other players in the ecosystem.
Obaseki come talk say master plan not be document wey one consultant write, but say na plan wey you don master wey go let our children know the plan of the city. And say as people we need to reset our mind sake of say we grow with the mind say e dey alright to build without permits. Oga Obaseki come still talk say
this roadmap would just be a piece of paper, just be another document if it's not owned, if it's not internalized, and we do not execute on it. Now that we have a draft, now that we have a document, what do we do with it? By the time we're leaving here, what commitments do we make to make sure that this document comes alive and it ties into our master plan? I have been insisting with the commissioner and our consultants that I don't want a master plan in the traditional sense of a master plan. I don't want a document. A master plan is not a document that a consultant produces and gives you. No. A master plan has to be your own plan that you have mastered, so that your subsequent generations, your children's children, will know that this is how we do things. A school is supposed to be here. When you look at a particular type of building, you say, okay, oh yeah, this is supposed to be a clinic or a school. I mean, so that it's part of a culture that we've lost. And it's really, really going to be difficult building it. And that is what I want you to take away. It is not going to be easy. It's about resetting our minds. If we had grown up with, what have we grown up with? Disorder, confusion. But it never used to be so. If you go to some other African countries, you go to some place like Kenya, you see, they just will tell you, oh no, we don't do this. You can't do this. You can't build without permits. Because we didn't design or designate this area for this purpose. There's a reason why we didn't. Because if you do go against that, then these are the likely consequences. Oh, people are shouting, there's flooding, the Benin city is flooding. It never used to flood. Because water used to flow. When I grew up in the GRA, we never had fences. You don't have brick fences. They were hedges. So that was why there was no need for drainage. No matter the rain that fell, it seeped into people's compounds and into the lawns. Okay, we have now decided that we are now modern. What is the plan to cope with this modernity? You understand? So that's the hard work where we must now think. It's about creating a new culture to cope with the situation that we have created for ourselves. That's why this policy and this planning is very important. We can speak all the grammar from today to tomorrow. At the end of the day, we're going to create it. And it is not cheap. I was just doing some rough calculations and say, okay, if we say we have a deficit, not what we will build into the future, of 400,000 units in Edo today. That's what given the population, that is the people who are currently homeless, who don't have houses that are supposed to have. So they are tenants, they are whatever, they are squatters. That's about 400,000 pieces with. And just assume with current rates and inflation that the average cost of a 2-bedroom, nothing fantastic, Who come to about 20 million today. Put that number in your calculator. See whether your calculator can take it. It will be error. It's in trillions. Do we have that money today? It's not there. So what is going to happen? But it creates an opportunity in itself. It's a huge opportunity that you will see that people will come because they're looking for a good life. If your policy is right, businesses will come and locate because they'll be able to hire quality human capacity. Because, some people, if you're looking for competitive workers, you're looking for workers in a competitive marketplace, they have options. So why should I come and work in this place that is insecure, not safe, where I will not have good schools for my children, where there's nothing to do after work? I'd rather go to this place. You understand? So it's important for you to attract people to come, to attract businesses. This policy must make sense. The second part of it making sense is that we've got to be able to finance it. But I've always said financing is the least of our problems in Nigeria. The money is here. I see it. And we've shown it in Edo that the money is here. Not in the way people see it. If you steal it, you won't have it. If you waste it, it won't be there for you to. But that it's not there, I think we have a reasonable stock of capital. It's how to release that capital in a sensible manner to create this policy that we seek. So one aspect of this housing policy that we must focus on in great detail is housing financing. Very, very important. And how to leverage what we have already and to use what we have already to attract financing.
Make una not forget say, as we see am, na so we dey talk am. We no dey take blame. From Benin City, Ekata Ojesili, TMC TV News.